everybody! Всем привет! Welcome back to the channel, or just welcome if you are new. My name is Maria and here we are learning Russian. Though today's video is not going to be about some aspects of the language, like pronunciation, grammar or vocabulary, it's going to be about language learning tips that I feel have helped me greatly in my learning, because I used to be intermediate in French and now I'm trying to catch up. And I'm absolutely elementary in Spanish. And they also have helped my students who are now learning English. So I feel that those tips are especially good for people who just start their journey of learning a foreign language, because typically when adult people are on their beginner or elementary level, they have not fallen in love with the language yet. They are probably not 100% ready and open to the aspects of that foreign language that do not exist in their own native language. That's why sometimes they create some mindset obstacles for themselves without even realizing, and this can make learning complicated. So today we're gonna see 7 tips that will make your learning much easier. And tip number 1 is gonna be ask yourself why. You know, it doesn't even matter if you're just considering learning a foreign language, or you have already started, or you just probably feel that you have stopped, like you cannot get through some point, or you probably feel a lack of motivation. Then ask yourself, why am I learning this foreign language? Is this for your job? Is this for traveling? Is this because you want to communicate with family members who speak that language? Or is this because you like it? You know, if your answer is I like it, it's already a reason enough to learn. Because in most cases, not in most cases, but in some cases, when people have to learn a language because of their job, for example, they do not necessarily want it. They might not be even ready for it, but they just have to. As a result, it will not show the progress that they expect. But if you just like a language, you don't have to learn it, but you just do, just because, you know, it brings you joy. That's very good. I mean, that's a super reason to continue, to go on. So, tip number 1, ask yourself why. Yeah, we need to know a reason why we are doing this or that. So, tip number 2, be tolerant. I mean tolerant towards the language that you are learning. You know, I remember hearing some questions from my adult students, something like, why do they use it in their language? Or why do they have it? And that was about those aspects that we do not have in our native language. That's why they seemed kind of complicated at the first glance, kind of incomprehensible or whatever. And in such cases, I always ask a reverse question. For example, why do you have or say this in your native language? They usually cannot explain. And well, I'll give you just a simple example. I think we just have started learning irregular verbs. Yeah, 3 forms of the verbs, and we were working on their pronunciation. Like, for example, bring, brought, brought. And they saw the ending of those 2 latest forms, like GHT at the end, and they were like, bro, and I was like, it's just T. So if you see GHT, it's just T, that's it. Bro, T. And they were kind of confused, and they were starting to get mad at themselves because they wanted to read something like bro, you know, reading all the sounds, and it didn't work that way. And then they started to ask, like, oh, why do they read it? Why do they need 3 letters and 1 sound? And I was like, Well, it's just how the language was formed. Let's have a look at our own language. We have a word in Russian, здравствуйте. Well, it's very long and, oh, look at it right here. Здравствуйте. If we read this word exactly the way it's written, it will be здравствуйте. But you will not hear anybody reading it this way. Nobody ever does that because it's not correct. We say здравствуйте without that v. There is no v there. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Though we write it down. And I ask them, why do you read it? I mean, why do you say it this way without v? But you write it down. And they're like, well, it's just the way we say it, it's just the way it was formed. I say, exactly, you're right. The same is with the English language. It's just the way the language was formed. That's it. Just remember this rule. GHT gives us the T sound. That's it. And I really think that reflecting on your native language sometimes really makes you more kind, more tolerant, and kinder and more understanding towards another language. Because, you know, a foreign language, I mean any language, it's not an exact science where you can have a formula and everything follows that formula. Yes, there are some formulas in any language, of course, but it's very flexible anyway in that sense. So, asking yourself such questions about your own language sometimes open your eyes, and it really helps you to, you know, to see another language in a more friendly way, and it makes your learning generally easier. Alright, so tip number 2, be tolerant and kind towards a language that you're learning. Right, tip number 3, plan your learning. If you're watching this video, I suspect that you are learning by yourself, right? From videos, from song, movies, I don't know, course books, whatever, and it's very good because I know what it takes to make yourself learn. But in order to show bigger progress, it's very helpful to make a plan of what you're gonna do. Like, for example, today I do 2 exercises. Tomorrow I watch this episode. The day after tomorrow I listen to a song, and so on. And when you do the tasks that you write down, you just check or, I don't know, cross it out when you accomplish them. And when in the end of the week you will look at that plan and like, oh yeah, I'm a good girl, I'm a good boy, I have done so much. And you will really see the progress after that. So you need to plan your learning, okay? I can give you a perfect example, like on my videos. Let's say a video is coming up on Sunday, right? And each video has a worksheet which typically gives us 2 to 3 tasks. Now, what can you do? You can watch a video on Sunday, and then you can divide the worksheet into, let's say, 3 parts. So you do task 1 on Tuesday, task 2 on Thursday, task 3 on Saturday. You check yourself, because I always include the key in the PDF format or in the audio format, so you could check yourself. And then another Sunday, and then another video. That's it. So this is the way that you can plan your week, for example. Alright, so that was tip number 3, plan your learning. Now, tip number 4 is gonna be something that is really close to tip number 3. And this is set small achievable goals. When you have your plan, what to do for a week, and when you write down your goal, first of all, why you want to learn the language, like in tip number 1, if your goal is to be 100% fluent in the language you're learning, it's a very perfectionist goal. This is what I wanted to say. But it's too much of a goal, right? Because becoming 100% fluent in this language can take you up to 5 years. I would say at least 5 years. Probably even more of constant, stable learning to get to that. And if you don't have any threshold along the way, it can be really complicated. It can be frustrating sometimes. And that's why it is really beneficial and very helpful to have something that you can really complete and feel that sense of accomplishment, because it's really important. Like, for example, a good goal would be something like, I want to finish reading this book, for example, in a month. Or I want to watch that series completely. Or I want to finish that course book in certain amount of time. Make sure you also limit your time, because if you don't limit, it can take forever. So this would be a better goal. It would be something that is really achievable, limited in time, and something that will make you feel, complete. Because when you feel all those accomplishments that you have made, you will really see that progress. Better, and of course better results. So that was number 4, right? Set small achievable goals. Alright, number 5 is gonna be, listen to yourself. It's not about actually listening to your voice when you record something, though it's a very good idea for language learning to record something that you're saying and then listen, or send, for example, to me. I will be very happy to listen to something that you're saying in Russian and probably correct something if it's needed. Here I'm talking about another thing. So imagine you have a plan that today I do 2 exercises, tomorrow I watch an episode of something, and the next day I do something else. You open your plan and you absolutely cannot make yourself do that. I mean, probably you have had a lot of stress. Probably you're too exhausted. Well, I don't know, because circumstances can be different. Only if it's not an excuse. Avoid excuses here. Because if you just forgive yourself every time you don't do something, well, you might never even start. That's why if there is a real reason why you literally can't do those 2 exercises today, okay, don't do, but swap your tasks. Like, for example, today I cannot do those 2 exercises, okay, but I will watch an episode of that series, or I will listen to a song. The thing that I love a lot about learning a foreign language is that whatever you do is beneficial. You like watching series? Watch, but in the language that you're learning. You like reading books? Read. Listening to music? Listen. Do exercises? Do. Whatever you do, it's all beneficial in different aspects. Alright, so make sure you do not just cancel the task here, you swap the tasks. So if your inner voice tells you, no, there is no way I can do those exercises, okay, do something more relaxing but language related, and this way you will not skip the day, first of all. Second of all, you will feel accomplished, that you really have done something useful for your learning today. Alright. So, tip number 6, stay confident. Bumps on the road are totally fine, and learning process is quite of a road, I should say, and it takes a lot of time. However, it's very important to remind yourself why you're doing this all. And whenever you feel lost, confused, mad, lazy, whatever, just take it easy, take your time, re-energize, and then find your inspiration and then keep learning. And the next tip actually is going to be very close to this, which is believe in yourself. Some people might not even start doing something just because they initially think they're not capable. I do agree on the one hand that some people are better at designing, for example, and other people are good at, oh, did I say bad? Good. Good at dancing, singing, drawing, whatever. But on the other hand, I absolutely am sure that every person can learn a foreign language. Do you know why? Because every person in the world already knows one language that is our native one. That means that we are already familiar with that system. So we absolutely can learn another system, a similar one, which is a foreign language. Alright, so I hope those tips will be helpful for you. And if I haven't mentioned something that has worked for you, please comment down below, because it probably can help other people. And if it does, imagine how great it could be. And well, for today we're going to be done, and I'll see you next Sunday. Have a blessed day. Пока!